What is up, wrestling fans, and welcome to the 2023 Smark Out Moment End of the Year Awards. The Smarkies have been halfway through. Now at this point, we took care of the AEW Awards, talked about the best and the worst of all elite wrestling in those 3 videos, or that one podcast if you're listening on Spotify and stuff. And now it's time for us to turn things around and talk about World Wrestling Entertainment, because the Smarkies are switching up and talking about the technical skills, the writing awards, and the performer awards, all on the WWE side of things. So a lot of the same categories, actually all the same categories, and then some more added into WWE because it's slightly different landscape than what AEW has to offer. So we are going to be breaking this down the way that we normally do here. This is the 14th annual, I believe, WWE Awards, which is kind of crazy, but maybe it's like the 11th or so podcast edition of this. I know I did a couple beforehand. Nevertheless, if you are brand new to this, you don't know who we are, well, I am your host, as always, Tony Mango, and I'm joined, as always, by Callum Wiggins.
I don't know what I'm doing here.
And Robert DeFelice.
It's my job to cover all of this, and I just told these guys off air. Most of this after Mania, I draw a blank. So there you go.
You're going to hear a lot of pre-Mania stuff, and yeah, some smatterings of some post-Mania things, because it's not just the best, it also is the worst, and there has been a wide variety of both this year in WWE. Obviously, go back and check out the AEW Awards if you have not already checked them out, and we're going to continue on here with the WWE side by talking about the first things first, Technical Skills Awards in this particular video. Check out the other ones, of course, later on for the Writing and the Performer Awards. Or if you are listening on Amazon Music or Spotify or something, then you're not going to have to click on anything else because I'll do the editing for you. Can't do that on YouTube, though. That's a shame. That's what playlists are for, even though they don't like that option as much anymore. So I don't really need to explain a lot of these if you did check out the AEW Awards or if you've checked out 14 years worth of this already. But generally speaking, we always start off with the best and the worst entrances of the year, and that's pretty self-explanatory as it is. So my worst is something that, if we had recorded this on another time, we're recording this on the 19th, by the way. It's probably released on like the 22nd or so. I think it's on the first time I'm going to release this. I don't know. This week seems like it would be a bad time to pick them, but as much as I could go with all the people who don't have a noteworthy enough entrance, like what was Riddick Moss's entrance, or what happens when like a Miles Bourne comes out at NXT, I'm going to say my worst entrance of the year is Katana Chance and Caden Carter. The reason why is because these two have this gimmick of being the life of the party, and they've got these like smoke guns that are supposed to be like, a big thing you would see at like a rave or whatever. And they do this little dances and everything, and nobody reacts to this. Now I like them, and I think that it's embarrassing that people don't react to this and stuff, but I think that they need to change that gimmick up, because right now it doesn't come across as life of the party. It comes across more to me as somebody who's dancing at a party who thinks that they're the life of the party, and everybody else is like, yeah, I'm going to go grab my drink and move to another spot. What do you guys have for your worst?
First of all, I think they're inoffensive. That's going to be a theme for me a lot this year with WWE. Is I can't say a lot of things were really bad, but what I can say was really bad is John Cena enters a WrestleMania with a bunch of Make-A-Wish kids and goes on to lose to Austin Theory. That, friends, is the worst entrance of the year.
You heard it here, folks. Rob doesn't like Make-A-Wish kids. I'm kidding. Nobody take that as a serious. Who do you got for worst, Callum?
Again, a little bit just blended together, so it's hard to really pinpoint one, but I'm kind of on a kick here with this guy, so I'm going to say the Lexis King sliding throne entrance.
Oh, I like that.
Boo! Boo! The sliding throne is the only thing he has.
Yeah, and it's not that good. So like, he's got nothing to me. So like it's like this plasticky gold throne that he just like slides in on his complete like auraless personality. And yeah, you're probably right. This probably is the best thing about him, and that says quite a lot considering the fact that I think it's utter crap.
You're going to hear more positive things from me about Lexington compared to the negatives from Callum throughout this podcast. That's for sure.
I mean,
not that I have him on my my best for entrance though.
I'd say like one of the worst just overall for entrances. Who are the people that do the music now for WWE?
F Rebel, I think is the name. Or no,
Yeah.
are they still around, or is it just technically WWE Music Group?
F Rebel.
Or are they part of it? Yeah.
Yeah, they're the worst, like in terms of entrance, because all of the music they create just has no, like it leaves nothing in the memory.
You know what? There's something to be said there, because this was the first year where the Royal Rumble, for both the men and the women, but especially the women, I was like
who's coming out?
Who?
Right.
And I watch this every week, and it's just nothing sticks in the memory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, the entrance themes that they have, there's a few that are good here and there, but it's few and far between. You could get somebody like Trick Williams where the crowd's into it, and that's one of my contenders for that, because for best, I mean, because Booker T being like, yeah, I like it, and all that stuff that he does. But it's like, for every Trick Williams, there's 7 or 8 people like, can anybody truly tell me what Tank Ledger's theme is? Or what Lyra Valkyria's theme is? And it's like, that's the women's champion.
Valkyria, I know. And I'll say that for this. You're going to hear more
How's her theme
positives
go?
if Lyra comes up from me than you will from either of these guys.
Actually, I don't think I have her down anywhere, come to think of it. For best or worst. Oh, wait, no, she does have a theme that people go and interact with. Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, that's that woo kind of thing that people do. So, as much as that's not even that memorable, it's still higher up on the best entrance list than like a lot of the main roster people are, which is a shame. They really need to like take some lessons from Jim Johnston and actually try to give like DIY's theme. What is their theme? Miz was even talking about it on Raw this week, and I'm like, how does it go?
Apparently it says we are DIY. I know that because
and I couldn't tell you in what fashion it does. Is it like, did they sing "We Are DIY," or is it like the whole like AJ Styles' theme where it's like we are DIY, like that kind of thing? I don't know, but yeah, a lot of bad themes this year. For that matter, Katana Chance and Caden Carter, I couldn't tell you their actual theme either, too. So that's another element of that. But some good ones, too. We talk about the worst, we talk about the best. I got a bunch written down for the best options. I really liked Shinsuke Nakamura's anime intro for Payback. That was pretty cool. Not even an anime fan, but still resonated enough with me. I liked Edge's WrestleMania entrance. I had written down, and I don't remember the full context to this, but I wrote down the mask at least was really cool. So
he had the sparkly skeleton.
There was Logan Paul's zipline thing at WrestleMania. It's not quite Shawn Michaels, but still something that's pretty noteworthy. The one I'm going to go with for my best is another WrestleMania one. Dominic Mysterio coming out in the handcuffs and the police car and everything. Because ex-con Dom, you're going to hear a lot of thumbs up for Dom on this list.
Yeah, there was a lot of pretty fun Mania entrances this year. I liked the conductor doing the Seth Rollins entrance. You mentioned Logan Paul. Cody had a cool entrance, if only because his entrance is typically great. But I think my best entrance this year was actually on an episode of SmackDown. It was the day before Chamber, when Sami Zayn comes out in Montreal and he brings back the original theme song, and the place is just going absolutely berserk. and the singing doesn't stop. So I think I'm gonna go with that for my best entrance.
You reminded me of something that I wanted to add to my worst list when they played the wrong theme for Sami Zayn.
Oh, wasn't that great? And ironically enough, it was the last time he teamed with Owens too.
And he was just like, haven't heard that in a while. What do you got down for your best, Callum?
I only have one written down, but it was the only one that I needed to see. It's Bad Bunny at Backlash.
That was a very good runner-up.
Yeah.
Same energy, man. Wow.
Oh god, like that was that was thousands upon thousands of people in Puerto Rico, just like, this is our guy. It's not even obviously a WWE guy, but he came out and it's just an entire arena singing his music coming out. So that guy had more swagger and got a greater reaction than any wrestler has in any show this year. And that's fair enough, because his popularity transcends wrestling.
That's a really good option. I got to add that down to my my list as one of the potentials. For that matter, too, if you're talking entrances, it incorporates returns and stuff. Carlito popping up and Savio Vega and all, like that Backlash thing had a lot of positives on that front.
Shame on WWE for like waiting until Carlito had completely off, no pun intended, to actually bring him in, because for a minute there he was as hot as he'll ever be.
And changing his entrance theme to something that's awful.
Yeah, by the way, we changed Nia's entrance theme for like one of the only things she had, and you're like, nope, we're gonna change it, make it different.
It's not like most themes.
That's not.
Let's see. We got best clothing, attire, worst ring gear, or whatever you want to classify that as. The good and the bad is whatever the people are wearing. I only have one written down for worst, but it is a perpetual thing. Seth Rollins. But in particular, his WrestleMania outfit. I hate this dude's style. I get that it's like supposed to be odd, but I don't like it. I guess I could put down as an honorable mention most of the things that Becky was wearing for a while then too.
I mean, I have two names written down, and one of them is Seth Rollins, because of the garishness of his attire and the fact that he's kind of substituted that for a personality in most of his wrestling stuff at the moment. Obviously, he's cut one good promo now this year, so yeah, great, good for him. But it's mainly just the crowd singing and him just wearing ridiculous outfits. But then Lexis King came along, and so Lexis King gets worse clothing and attire. God, it looks just awful. Just like he clearly doesn't have pockets. He can't put his sunglasses in.
Oh, that was funny. I went back and checked that out after you guys had mentioned that, and that was a funny little moment.
It's like screams the attire of a 40-year-old guy thinking that he's still in his early 20s.
As a jerk?
No, he's like 30.
He's come out the Judas.
As well. That bit, and I don't know whether class the beard as part of the clothing or attire, but it's part of the overall look, and that's just why does he think that's good? Like he's designing himself to like look as bad as possible.
You know who else has a really odd beard going on right now? Braun Breaker.
Yeah, I know. It seems to be a thing. I don't know whether it's a trend. I wouldn't say it's a trend, because they're both in their like either late 20s or early 30s, so it's can't like be like saying that the kids are doing these days. But
I mean, Cora Jade's pretty young. Maybe she's like showing Braun what's cool right now. You know?
The hippin' and the hoppin' and the bippin' and the boppin'. Yeah.
the changing your skin tone for Instagram filters.
That's the problem with this NXT 2.0 generation. They don't know what jazz is all about. What do you got for worst clothing?
Well, guys, scripts was still a thing this year.
Oh crap! Yeah.
Fucking scripts. Fuck scripts. That whole gimmick sucked. It sucked. It was the worst. It was the worst thing ever, and it existed this year, so it's that.
Now that you reminded me that Scripps was still technically Scripps this year, I'm going to have to add him to some more worst lists here and there. Any other honorable mentions or anything for that? I'm trying to look through the list right now to see if I can remember anybody else that stands out. A lot of people have ring gear. This is kind of blah.
Quincy Elliott was still employed in WWE.
Oh, you know what? Quincy Elliott was still with the company.
Quincy Elliott should be on that list too. Yeah, that was never
He's
a good.
going to be coming up a few times.
If he's not coming up a few times on my list, I don't remember. He's going to come up as I forgot about him for a lot of things as well.
And Top Dollar was on this roster as well, I guess.
I know I have Top Dollar now for a few things. And none of them are on the best side. But I actually have a lot written down for best clothing / ring attire. And, I mean, generally speaking, somebody like a Bianca Belair, like she always makes good ring gear for herself. And some people just have generally good gear. Like Rey Mysterio tends to come out with like some pretty cool outfits and all. But shout out a few, and as per usual, stop me if any of these are your number one pick. I have Zelina Vega from the Royal Rumble. I'm gonna have to Google some of these because
gear was fantastic.
That was like I know it was like some kind of a cosplay thing. I don't remember exactly what it was for sure. I'm trying to look it up right now. I think it was like a Street Fighter thing.
Yeah, it was. She was.
What's the character's name?
But I know for a fact that that's when they announced that she was.
So she's a character called Jewelry from Street Fighter 6. Yeah.
She also did the commentary in Street Fighter 6.
Yeah, so I mean, like that, like she always does really cool things like that. I have Carmella Hall of Fame written down. Let me look up what that was. Yep. Google it, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. That was great.
So now I know which part of your body wrote that then.
Yeah, really. Like
my right hand.
No, that was preoccupied.
What was the left doing?
Text to speech is a beautiful thing. I have written down Johnny Gargano, NXT Stand and Deliver. That was
because he did like an amalgamation of all the things he's done, right?
He's got like it's like a kind of black and gold with a little bit of red kind of thing in there that looks really cool. And Gargano's got really good outfits too. I've got Trish from WrestleMania. Let me
I remember that one.
Double check that one out.
Again, there's two very good reasons why you would want to vote for that one.
I can see why now that I Googled it. I've got Dom for WrestleMania. For the same exact reason, though. That he, of course, had like an outfit going on where he was, he had Rey Mysterio's mask that he had stolen, and he kind of like did everything based off of that. I've got Charlotte Flair from WrestleMania. A lot of WrestleMania things, which isn't all that surprising because people tend to do that pretty well. She's just got one of her generic outfits that ends up being like really cool. Zelina Vega from Backlash. The whole Puerto Rico flag gimmick that she had going on. That was really cool. I like that she did that. I've got Shotzi as the Edward Scissorhands look in particular from NXT Halloween Havoc. It was like a really well done cosplay and easily her best outfit that she wore this year. And another one of my favorites too, and I don't know what I'm going to pick for my my number one out of this because I liked a lot of these all, but another one was from Halloween Havoc, Kalani Jordan's Spider-Gwen gimmick.
If I was going to cheat, I would just say Halloween Havoc from the NXT women's locker room in general. They killed it. Shotzi had like 5 different outfits, but it was just like, wow, she's really tapped into this. That was her best performance of the year, just in general.
Yeah, pretty much, right?
I think as Tony did a blanket statement with Rollins, I could say a blanket statement for Cody would be appropriate. Like he always brings it. I could shout out Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for having the PWG logo on their tights at WrestleMania 39. But I'm gonna go ahead and say Jade Cargill Fastlane.
Let me Google what that was. Jade Cargill Fastlane.
That was her debut gear, right? Or like the debut outfit that she had on.
Yeah, that was a really good one too.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with that. I don't think anybody does superstardom like Jade Cargill.
I mean, I didn't. There was none that like particularly stood out to me, or at least I couldn't remember off the top of my hand of like top drawer attire or clothing. So I kind of went for like more general ones, like Bianca Belair was high up there, and Becky Lynch for her kind of cooler looking attire. Rey Mysterio, because he typically does some cool stuff with different masks and different. I think the one that he had against Logan Paul was pretty good from what I recall. And then probably the one I'd go for is actually kind of just the overall aesthetic of Judgment Day.
Yeah, I mean,
they usually have
Rhea Ripley
stuff.
for sure.
Rhea, but Damien wears some cool stuff as well.
They all wear pretty cool gear.
Yeah, it's mainly like gear outside of the ring, realistically, more often. It's like their actual, like, just whatever the real clothing they're wearing is on the show is actually like, you can tell they're a pretty cool group.
You know what? Nobody else is going to say it because nobody watches NXT this closely. But shout out to Metaphor. During that tournament to determine who would challenge Noam at No Mercy, they were just like wearing different themed gear. Once there was like a safari gear, then they were in the Arctic, then they did the whole Scooby-Doo thing for Halloween Havoc. Metaphor's really good, and a lot of people I think turned it around this year, including like we said, Judgment Day, Dom, Lash Legend too, in a lot of ways. I actually think she's gonna be around for a while.
You know, you mentioned Judgment Day's ring gear. We can't go past this week without mentioning one that really stands out. R-Truth's. His t-shirt where he just adds "End R-Truth."
End R-Truth written in tape.
God, I love R-Truth. I'm so
glad.
Yeah, I'm so glad he's back. He's just like immediately killing it again. Love it. I think if I had to pick out of the list that I had mentioned, I think I might give a little bit of an extra boost to Zelina Vega from Backlash because she had the flag and stuff, so that was even cooler. Obviously, as I've mentioned before plenty of times, and I mention every podcast, if you have any other ideas of what you think that we should be having on our list, then chime in on the comment section below. We might be forgetting some things, and you might like jog our memories to just be like, oh, that's right, somebody wore this thing, it was really awful or really great, or any other categories too. And make sure that while you are doing that, hit the like button on this video. So a little reminder on that front. Also, make sure that you are subscribed, ring that little notification bell, click on that join button if you want to get access to the Darkcast and pick a poison tier and all. That goes along with that side of things. Same thing as the Patreon. Obviously, go to patreon.com/SmarkOutMoment if you're more into that. Redbubble and TeePublic are up there for anybody who wants to pick up some merchandise. And when it comes to things like the little thanks button that's on there, everything is greatly, greatly appreciated. So thank you to any and everybody who is part of that, including Aaron Earhart, who had just joined today for the Darkcast here. So thank you very much for that. Let's continue on here and talk about the best and the worst signature maneuvers of the year. Now, this, of course, isn't just finishers. This could be setup moves or regular things that people incorporate into their 5 moves of doom or whatever it might be. And my only thing that I have written down specifically for the worst, because I just, generally speaking, can't remember what most people's signature moves are, is when Brutus Creed misses the cannonball spot. Because when he misses that, it looks horrendous. When he hits it, it looks really cool. But flat out missing it, and then people just have to react as if he barely scraped up against them, is one of the stupidest looking moves that they have out there.
I'm going to probably side with you and add to that and say, specifically Stand and Deliver. Specifically, like he did.
Is that the one where he whiffed entirely?
Yeah, he whiffed entirely. And look, Brutus Creed is amazing, and those Creeds are getting a push that I haven't seen a tag team get in a long time. But when he whiffs, it's not great. So I might go with that spot in particular, as you've jarred my memory, but maybe Callum will remind me of something else.
Again, it's not something that immediately springs to mind for me, but one of the ones I had down is Cody Rhodes Crossroads.
Really? I have that down as one of my best.
Because he can't win a match with it. He has to hit like 3 or 4 of them before he wins. So
Okay.
like, it's clearly not that effective. But then the one that stuck in my mind, again, maybe I'm just like not thinking too many of the other ones, but Maxine Dupree's worm elbow. She's not as good as Otis doing it, which is surprising, considering the fact that Otis is actually clearly more flexible than she is.
Oh yeah. The worm in general is just or the caterpillar, as they know it.
Technically, yeah.
Yeah, it's all of the whole generation of people that grew up watching The Rock do his people's elbow and thought I could do a series of things and then do a generic move. It wasn't even good with MVP doing the ball in elbow kind of thing and all.
At least that was like relevant at the time. You know, like when he first started doing it, it was big, like in the culture for the move, and it wasn't his finisher either.
Yeah, it was just an extra little move, but. Well, on the worst side of things, anybody have anything else to mention?
I'm trying to think about like.
I know that like Kalani Jordan does the playmaker move, which is always one of the stupidest moves that's out there.
Basically, anyone that does that is like one of the worst. Lash Legend, despite I will admit having
she is still doing the move.
She is still doing the move where she bounces their heads on the ropes.
I kind of like it now, though.
I saw her do it to 2 people. I was like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
It's cool because like she can do cool stuff. Well, I say cool stuff now, but like she can do like choke slams and power bombs and all that other stuff. Like, why does she still insist on doing this? Like, it's a move that has.
She got it in her head that it's something that's effective.
I mean, she was a WNBA person, so I get where they were coming from.
Some producer or agent has told her to do that sort of thing because that's part of the. But then again, like, no one should know that she's done all that stuff because, like, that's not her name anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, if you want to do that, say like, oh, she was a former WNBA star. Oh, I've looked up her name in the WNBA. I don't see Lash Legend anywhere on that list.
Look, the Miz eventually stopped doing the reality check. She'll eventually stop doing this move.
I wonder if they told her to try it on the turnbuckle and then went like, oh my God, Whiplash is crazy on this. We can't do it that way, you know? Because it would look way better on the turnbuckle, but it's probably too dangerous to do that. Or maybe it's too dangerous for her to do it. On the best, I do have Cody Rhodes. Crossroads is one of the options, but it's not my pick. I was mostly leaning between either Damian Priest's South of Heaven or Bronson Reed's Tsunami. And I'm leaning a little bit more towards the Tsunami, in part because, giant dude jumps from the top rope onto you. You're going to be winded and not kick out. But also because Wade Barrett every time seems to have so much fun just being like, Tsunami! And that just gives it an extra little thing, you know?
I like the Nothing But Net. I like Grayson Waller just did this thing to Carmelo Hayes on SmackDown.
Oh, yeah, that was cool.
It was like if you took the Playmaker and the Famouser and did it from the middle rope, and the guy taking it actually sold it like he was just shot. It was a very cool move. In terms of like in general, I think the Haluva kick is a great finishing move. The stomp is really back in prominence this year. Braun Breakers has the best spear in the game right now.
Yeah, I think I should maybe put that down as one of my potential options too. His spear is great.
I like the Peony, the prettiest moonsault ever. Tiffany Stratton's fantastic. I might have to go with Gunther's powerbomb. Just like as a general, like Gunther looks like he's brought prominence back to the powerbomb.
Just as a ring general?
That shit. Yes.
I mean, Gunther's chop is just up there as one of the best ones. It's like just anytime you chop someone, it's a great move. I like Zoe Stark's Z360.
Yeah,
I think it's just nice. Like it's an evolution of the GTS, so I kind of quite like that one. But the one I'm going to go for is Ilya Dragunov's H-bomb, like the standing forearm down to a prone person, because I just think, you just murdered someone in the ring.
He's
That's great.
So fun to watch. He is so much fun to watch.
I like when we've got some good finishers to talk about instead of those years where we're like, it's only the RKO or something, like, you know.
Or the F5.
There wasn't a lot of RKOs this year. It felt so good. I mean, if we're talking about just a spot, hold on a minute. It was overshadowed almost immediately by Punk. But them throwing JD McDonough down to his death and Orton catching him in an RKO at War Games is fantastic.
Funny you mention it, because our next category is the best and the worst spot and botch of the year, or the coolest spot, biggest botch, whatever it might be. And I mean, we don't need to go in any particular order, but you mentioned the RKO that JD McDonough took. That was one of my options for the best, but I ended up going with the mid-air collision that Ricochet and Logan Paul had at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
You sound disappointed.
I mean, like, that was such a cool spot. Like, it took the company to another level on social media, because that's what every kid dreams about doing when you're imagining playing wrestler, is like these cool jumping moves, and they did it. That might actually be my pick, but I'm also, like I just said, thinking about that RKO, because that RKO was gnarly and good to see after 18 months.
I mean, the one that I mainly had written down was the Logan Paul and Ricochet mid-air collision, because that felt like the spot that I at least remember the most in terms of just in-ring stuff. But I guess the other two things that I had noted down, they're pretty similar because they basically had the same effect, which is Sami Zayn hits Roman Reigns with a steel chair at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's technically a spot. And then Jimmy Uso super kicks Roman Reigns in the Saudi Arabia match. I can't remember that. That wasn't Crown Jewel.
That was Night of Champions.
Yeah, Night of Champions. Yeah, because that's the turn that eventually went all pear shaped afterwards. But the actual moment of the Usos, well, one of the Usos at that point turning on the Bloodline was, that felt like a really big deal. So, but yeah, in terms of just like what was actually like the coolest spot, it was the mid-air collision.
Yeah, I think I'll go for 3 for a mid-air collision. That's classic.
We got our first 3 for, right? I think that we didn't agree all the way on any other ones. I'm trying to like speed run through a video on the YouTube right now that's best spots of 2023, but most of these are looking like they're just sort of, I don't even remember some of them, like Grayson Waller and Braun Breaker breaking the turnbuckle. There's a couple like superplex spots here and there, but like, and they're always good, sure, but nothing that like really stands out.
What stood out to me that I'll think about for a long time: Bronson Reed beat Ivar with the superplex, and I was just shocked. I think that was last week on Raw. It was so amazing to see somebody actually just win a match with superplex in 2023.
Especially since it has become a more regular spot. Superplex at any kind of like a multi-man match or something. And there's a lot of them that are on here, actually, whoever made this list, they're doing a lot of just like somebody gets slammed through a table, which is pretty generic enough. Oh, I forgot about that gnarly Roman slamming Kevin Owens onto the steel steps and him hitting the back of his head. That was just not a good idea to do. There was that Logan Paul crashing through what's his face in the Prime
the
Energy
KSI,
mascot.
Yeah, the KSI thing.
That was kind of funny little moment. None of these are really standing out for me. Maybe we are forgetting about something though, and maybe I don't know. Maybe you're the type of person who just really likes somebody getting chokeslammed through the commentary table or something. But that was a bad spot. Liv Morgan getting power bombed to people on the outside. So. If we are forgetting anything, let us know. I do have more written down under the biggest botch, though. We already just talked about the Brutus Creed, whiffing his cannonball. Good old Brutus. Yeah, that's not my pick, but Brutus Creed doing that. What was it? Stand and Deliver. That was like that one sucked. There's actually quite a bit from Royal Rumble that I have written down. Uncle Howdy missing the LA Knight spot.
Look, because of everything I think has
that's pretty bad.
happened, I think we've all kind of forgotten, but yeah.
I haven't forgotten. It's down there somewhere
Mhm.
in my list for other things.
It's on there because that was crazy.
I've got Kofi Kingston botches saving himself again at the Royal Rumble.
Did that happen this year?
Yep, second year in a row.
I do remember that because it was so disappointing.
I feel like I said that when it happened, though.
You're done, guy.
Right. That kind of ended up just killing that. I mean, I don't know if he's going to come back and try to do it again this year.
Maybe it's for the better, though.
It might be. I kind of want him to do something, though, to redeem himself rather than to end on two bad notes.
He should win.
Just go ahead and do it. Kofi Claus should just win, yeah. I also have from the Royal Rumble, Nia Jax's music hits before the countdown timer clock. They just, production botch on that end. I have the pacing for night 2 of WrestleMania, as well as Cody should have won a Mania. That's not really a botch in that sense. But the thing that I'm going to go give it to is actually another thing for Mania, which is everything was on my list.
I think we might get a 3 for here.
We might, Shane McMahon immediately tearing something.
Okay, yeah. It's Shane McMahon for me, because poor guy, he got really hurt, but God, that was bad.
Yeah, it was definitely... It's one of the two that I have written down, so I probably will go with that one. But yeah, Shane McMahon destroying his leg on a leapfrog is pretty funny.
And I mean, the fact that it happened in this grandiose fashion, it makes it that much, I don't know if you would say better or worse, but the idea that like he was last seen with the whole Royal Rumble fiasco, but him being ousted from the company and a really negative kind of way to go down. Oh, we get this big, hey, he's going to have a match and all. And to varying extents, people are like, this is really cool. Or at least this is interesting. Or what the hell's going on or whatever. And it's 12 seconds into the match or something. And he tears his quad. And it's dude, way to get past the ball to have an easy layup and immediately just deflate the ball and ruin the game for everybody. And it forced a whole different situation with Snoop Dogg and all. And this is a mess. And if this was a video podcast, you would see me smiling right now because it's it was so fucking funny.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was great. The other one I had written down is maybe a bit of symmetry from the first one is Logan Paul and Ricochet Spanish Fly through the tables and Money in the Bank, which was basically the opposite. 'Cause their whole feud, if you can call it that, of 2023 between those two was creating these viral moments before having a pretty mediocre match at SummerSlam. But then, the Spanish Fly, where they both just pretty much went through it head first, was pretty bad.
Yeah, I had more generic things they completely botched Cody's moment, and they botched the Bloodline story after Mania. I didn't have too many oh, that was bad kind of botches. I mean, the Shane one to me just completely usurps anything that could have happened in the year. But if we want a fun one for outside of TV, the botched retirement of Vince McMahon that led to Stephanie leaving and where we are now.
We're definitely going to talk about the Vince thing in different capacities. I'm looking, trying to again get through another little bit of a list here.
Does his mustache count as a bone?
Yeah, that's a negative in a lot of ways. Yeah. Miz cutting a promo that was really bad apparently earlier this year. I don't remember for sure what this was with Austin Theory, but I'm sure that had to be kind of on the rough side. There's the Kofi Kingston thing. What happened with Bliss that they've got on this list?
Oh, all the Uncle Howdy stuff.
No, this is something with oh yeah, I guess it is Uncle Howdy. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that's too offensive standing out to me on this. Let us know if we forgot something, but let's move on to the recognition section. most underrated superstar and most overrated superstar. This is always a debate about, if you go back and check out the AEW side of things, it's like, well, what do you classify underrated and overrated? Who are you comparing that to?
Like, who's doing the rating?
Right, that kind of thing. So there's a little bit of leeway in that front. I've got 4 names written down for overrated. And, of course, that's going to ruffle some feathers, which is kind of the point of the most overrated side of things. So my options that I had teased potentially doing, Finn Balor at one point, because I remember people still being like, why isn't this guy like a 20-time world champion? And it was like, oh my God, relax. Like, he's good, but he's not that great. Come on, but I wouldn't give it to him. People seem to have settled in well with his role at this point. I have Solo Sikoa down as one of my most overrated. I do not see this perception that some people have of like, Solo should be the one that beats Roman Reigns. I can't picture him being world champion yet. I can't even picture him having a truly solid mid-card run right now. He's good, but he's not great. He can't do the promo stuff. Him with Paul Heyman doesn't work in the same way that some other people like Brock with Paul Heyman or something is. So I enjoy Solo, but I do think that he's overrated on that front. I'm mostly going with one of these 2 names, although I think right now that I was just about to say these 2 names, I think that I've already actually settled on who it is. So runner-up would be Tyler Bate. And I know that ruffles some feathers, particularly on Callum's side of things. I like Tyler Bate, but he doesn't strike me as a guy that I would even put the Intercontinental Championship on. And I think that if and when he moves up to the main roster, he's looking at basically being a filler mid-carder guy. I don't think he's going to reach that next level. And a lot of other people are still kind of beating that drum. But more so than anybody, I disagree entirely with everybody that says Joe Gacy's ready for the main roster, and why didn't he win the NXT championship yet, and all this other things. Gacy's going to be on my
that anymore.
Gacy's going to be on my worst for a couple different things here.
I don't know if anybody's saying that anymore.
You remember like earlier this year when Schism was still around and people were still kind of harping on that?
Yeah, when it seemed like they had something where it was like, all right, crap or get off the pot. They then chose to stay on the pot and have him inhale the fumes. Like, I don't know what they did with Joe Gacy. Overrated.
See, some people, it's like, it's hard to debate overrated versus just not necessarily all that good. Because I know that some people would be like, Karrion Kross, and it's like, well, again, are you hearing a whole lot of chatter?
Like, for me, I would say overrated, and it might be a given at this point, but like, they burned me out on Roman, man. Like, it's Roman. They had something so good with Roman. Roman was the guy. I remember going into WrestleMania last year, 2022, and saying, oh, good, Roman will beat Brock, and then he'll be the main guy on both shows. And that'll be fine because even if the matches have dipped, he's still around. He was still a full-time guy at that point. And then they immediately said, just kidding. Part of this deal is he's not going to be full-time. And then they burned me out on Roman. Like, when's the last time Roman just beat a guy without shenanigans and like 55, bloodline run-ins and all that?
A couple years ago, probably at this point.
Roman's really up there. And I'm going to say this as the runner-up. He's not there yet, but we'll be talking about it next year. Probably LA Knight.
I was just going to say, and it'll be interesting to me if nobody brings up LA Knight's name, because as enjoyable as he could be, that's a prime candidate for potentially overrated when people are like, he should be the guy that beats Roman. It's like, yeah, it's fun. But I don't know if I go that far.
No, I think I'm gonna go Roman, but LA Knight was a close second.
Very curious what Callum's picks are, because I could see you picking somebody like a Seth Rollins or something.
I mean, Seth was definitely a potential contender for this one because he's, it's the way that he presents himself as one of the best wrestlers in the world when he's probably not even one of the best 10 wrestlers in his own company.
Yeah, I popped like you don't watch Raw, but last night he said, "I'm more inspired than ever to show everyone what it means to be the true best champion in the industry." And I'm like, yeah, you're not even the main event of your pay-per-views. Like, take it easy.
I mean, there's a lot of things to be said for just the entire concept of the NXT women's division in general. I think there's just a world view with a lot of people, again, just maybe it's just bots on Twitter, but it's people that just feel like this is the best women's division or the most put together women's division in the world right now. Because at the end of the day, they do get a lot of exposure and time, which is good, but fundamentally, the vast majority of them really are bad in the ring.
Yeah,
and they're only
we're not like
doing
the NXT women's division from a few years ago.
Yeah, they're only presented like as a big deal because they're presented a lot, which makes it feel like, okay, that's more progressive, but it's also just because they're hot, so they're put on TV.
Yeah, real quick, just because I've noticed this in the past couple of days because there was a tryout recently, and these people, these like Twitter people, have completely determined who these people are. Here's all their backgrounds. Here's what they do, and I'm like, you guys just really look at a picture of somebody and go, she's so pretty, I'm gonna stan her for the rest of my life, and like commit to that decision. It's crazy to me.
I mean, that's definitely a thing. Like that's the stan culture thing makes anybody potentially most overrated, because there are people out there that would like swear up and down that the second coming of Jesus Christ is Brindley Reese. You know what I mean? Like,
and real quick, I did put over Lash for improving, and she definitely has. But the reaction to that body slam, that
it would make you think that she saved, I don't know, somebody from like a
burning building or something.
Yeah, like a hurricane or whatever. Like, not from Hurricane Helms, but like, okay, she did a body slam. Relax, everybody. For that matter, somebody like Nikita Lyons, like, has she shown enough to be the biggest thing in the entire history of pro wrestling women's division? No, she hasn't. So
one part of her might be the biggest thing in the entire history of the women's division.
I mean,
she's shown that she can't go like 2 months without being injured. So.
Right. So if you're talking overrated, like you could bring up names like that for sure.
Oh yeah, well, as I said, there's plenty of women. Like the ones that would stand out for me would be like, say like Nikita Lyons, Lash Legend, Cora Jade isn't very good. I don't care what you guys say. She can't really wrestle that well. So like Kiana James, you can add all the list, but I feel that's a bit harsh because at the end of the day, it's developmental. I kind of felt a bit about Bron Breakker being a bit overrated at the start of the year because it felt like he was kind of replaced what he kind of felt like at the start of the year. We're thinking, okay, this is the big guy that's going to come onto the main roster, and then he's just been on NXT for the whole year. And I think his aura has diminished significantly because of that.
Honestly, that the Iron Survivor did a lot for me.
Yeah, that was cool.
That's why I haven't really gone for him because he ended the year fairly well. Gallus, and that's primarily just because they're still pushed around. They're still pushed occasionally in NXT, and they were tag champions for a long time, even though they've got absolutely no personality.
Yeah, Gallus is not working for me.
That's more of like an overrated by Shawn Michaels.
Yeah,
whoever's making decisions.
He really does like them though.
I had Solo Sikoa written down because I just think that he's a worse version of Umaga. I've got Jade Cargill written down because like you make a big deal about signing somebody and then she doesn't appear for the whole year, and then basically you have Triple H at a press conference saying, "Oh yeah, she can't actually do anything."
Yeah, I wouldn't. If I was him, I wouldn't have said that. I would have just kept to the.
No, but you have to kick the little guys that apparently gave them a dud product that they clearly paid a lot of money for and have absolutely no idea what to do with. But we'll talk more about Jade Cargill later on. And then, but my choice, and I think this is my choice last year as well, but it probably will be my choice for quite a while going forward. Although he's kind of now in the position that he probably always should have been, Austin Theory.
Yeah, I think at this point people settled into not hyping him up as much anymore. But at the beginning of the year, it was a different story still.
I hate it.
What?
He beat Cena. Like,
Mm-hmm.
fucking.
I still think
hate
there's just there is a body of people that think that this is the next guy still.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's maybe like harsh. I don't see too much difference between him and a Cole Carter in Ring of Honor. Like, you know, he's probably a better wrestler than Cole Carter is, but he's got nothing about him that I think that like helps it stand apart. And basically, his entire time on the main roster, for the vast majority of it, has been the whittling away of anything, any credibility that he previously had in NXT, any character or any, any likability that he had. And now he's doing the whole Grayson Waller tag team thing. Like, okay, that's your level. Your level is heel tag team guy, attached to a far more charismatic guy than you are.
I'm a big fan of them, and I like the name A-Town Down Under.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good name. Here's another name that I forgot when I'm just scrolling through here, and if it's gonna, if we're in the mood for ruffling some feathers, Trish Stratus.
I thought she did well this year.
I ain't gonna go that far, buddy.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of what she did was not all that great. Like, her promos were not these fantastic promos. I think they gave her a lot of leeway this year for the fact that she is a legend and she's done some great stuff in her career.
I thought that she did pretty well for the most part. I think it's difficult to step back into it after so many years away from doing it full time. The fact that she came back to do stuff full time in the first place, I think that's, it's pretty good going. It gave Becky something to do for most of the year.
If you're going to say that, then I think the person's name you're looking for was Lita.
Oh, Lita could definitely go on this list. Yeah, actually, maybe I'll actually give Lita my pick now that you brought it up, because it was something that, like, oh my God, it's Lita, Hall of Famer, all this other kind of stuff, which, rightfully so, she deserved to be a Hall of Famer. I'm not going to deny that, but when she actually stepped in between the ropes and everything, everybody just sort of went, I'm going to close my eyes and just kind of squint for this match and pretend like I liked it better than I really did. Yeah, I'm going to actually go Lita.
The Mania match was fine. I think it should have topped.
And people are like, like, you still got it. Oh, she's ready for a run. I don't know about that. Now, underrated, total opposite of the spectrum. So these are the people that you do think deserve more credit than what you generally see online or the way that they're booked on WWE television. You think that they just have more to offer. And that could be a wide variety of people too. You could talk about people that are on the lower end, like a Chad Gable. Although somebody like me, I didn't put Gable on my list because it seems like most people are like, yeah, Chad Gable's really great in the ring. It's a shame he doesn't get pushed. And it's like, okay, well, at that point, is he really underrated or is he just rated as I wish he did more? I do have a couple names though. I still have Baron Corbin on this list because I still think that Baron Corbin does way better job than what a lot of people give him credit, but I'm not going to give him the ultimate award. Duke Hudson never gets brought up by anybody. And this dude's funny and he could be entertaining in the ring and all. Not going to go with him though. He's just a runner-up. I think that for a little while, Santos Escobar was in this territory. Seems like they're kind of rectifying that now, so I don't know if I'd really go on that front. DIY for a little while was a part of this. Now, maybe I wouldn't necessarily go with them. I'm actually going to go Josh Briggs.
I was thinking about it.
Because Briggs is a talented dude. He has been able to survive a gimmick that could have been like just, okay, well, he's a cowboy type guy moving on and then gets released or so. And the way that he put on his performance in that Iron Survivor Challenge match, that was a really good one too. He's just a solid dude that seems to be getting better and better as time goes on. And I don't really hear anything about him.
Yeah, I can understand that because he was great in Evolve. And I thought he was going to be the one to get pushed to the moon. And they never got around to it. But I think he's tremendous. I think maybe not underrated, but a lot of people regretfully rated with Logan Paul. Really good. in just the few bits and pieces that he's done, I think undervalued Bailey. Like it's hard because again, it's that whole who's doing the rating kind of thing. Overall, I think my pick has got to be. I'm gonna go Gable because he's been there. How many years has he been there, guys? It's been like 10. That he's been on TV in some form or fashion. We're just now getting around to the whole, hey, this Chad Gable, by golly, he could wrestle. Like, this should have been 5 years ago at least.
Yeah, see, so there are plenty of options here. There are a lot of people that are either underrated by the fans or by management in one way or another. I think Akira Tozawa deserves more than just being, comedy Asian guy.
And you know what, though? He made somebody laugh backstage, and he's got a job for life.
That's nasty.
I would look at people like, I know you mentioned Josh Briggs. I think, again, Brooks Jensen is not bad. He gets a little bit overlooked. I think he gets overshadowed a bit by Briggs. And hopefully, if they do what they seem to be heading towards a split between those two, you get to see a bit more of that come through. Even though they tried the split earlier this year and decided not to go for it. But that's neither here nor there. I just feel like a guy, even though he held the North American title for so long, I don't think people actually consider Wesley one of the best guys in NXT.
No, they don't.
When he is one of the best wrestlers in NXT. And he's as I say, I kind of mocked him last year because some of his promos were overly emotional, but he got a lot more charisma, and it's really unfortunate that he suffered the injury that he has now. This one seemed quite obvious, but Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, primarily Alba Fire, but they get called up to the main roster and then they have absolutely nothing. They lose their NXT tag titles and then have absolutely nothing for them anymore.
Yeah, what a womp situation.
Yeah, and Alba Fire is really, really good. She should be you've got a women's division there. I'm not saying that she should win the world title, but she should be wrestling more often, giving people good matches. There's a lot of people that she could be helping develop because she is a veteran. She should be down in NXT if they've got nothing for her, helping the younger people how to work. Show them what they're doing. Got Butch, obviously. He should be Pete Dunne by now, but they're still they're still dragging the heels on that. Tyler Bate is one of the most underrated people in NXT because he's 27 years old. What the fuck have they been doing for the last 8 years with him?
Years already?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
What the fuck have they been doing with him for the last 8 years?
Yeah, he was 19 years old. Fucking do something with him. What the fuck?
It can't be 8 years already for that. Let me see this shit.
I think he's 27. He's even he's close to that at the very least. It's been a long time. Yeah.
December 15th, 2016, it was revealed Bate would be one of the 16 men competing in the 2 tournament. Wow.
Yeah, so he's 26 now. He'll be 27 in a couple of months.
That's 7 years ago, guys.
That's insane.
It's just maybe he would never be world champion, but fuck's sake, he should be in the main roster by now. He should be having great matches with people like Dragon Lee and he had a great match with Dragon Lee on NXT.
As Pete Dunne's friend.
Yeah, anything like that. Have a tag team with Pete Dunne. Must be better than Rich Holland.
What name do they rename him to go along with Butch?
Master Date. No, I don't know. I don't know, Butch and
Cassidy.
Butch and Blighty. Butch and Blighty, or whatever.
Butch and Cassidy.
Butch and Bang.
Butch and Bang. It's like Punch and Pie.
Yeah. Also another thing, just to bring this back, this is not my choice, but where is Meiko Satomura?
Where is Meiko Satomura? That's a big
She last wrestled Roxanne in February or something, right?
Yeah. She's just gone back to Japan. We just don't know about it. She's not there anymore.
Maybe she's one of those people that they released that they didn't bother to say. Oh no, I think she's probably still on the roster page.
Still on the main roster page.
Yeah. But the one I'm going to go for, maybe say a bit odd, but I'm going to go with the New Day.
Yeah, people don't talk about them anymore.
Well, it's more beyond that point. It's I feel like I think that this was the first year where it's kind of overrealized that this company takes the New Day for granted. Seriously takes them for granted. because I know they've suffered a few injuries this year. I know Kofi and both Xavier and Kofi. Obviously, we know about Big E's situation, but both Kofi and Xavier suffered some injuries earlier this year. But like, they don't really do anything with these two anymore. Like they occasionally okay, they'll have a couple of tag team matches, and they were the NXT Tag Champions at the start of this year because they had nothing really else to do on the main roster. But it's like you've got a former world champion there, and Xavier's never really gotten his full due beyond being King of the Ring that one time that they like forgot about 2 months later.
You know what?
They're just a couple of like two of the guys that like have been part of your biggest merch movers in like modern history. And now they're just there doing a couple of backstage skits every now and again, the occasional tag team match. I'm not saying that they should be all over TV, but like they should be doing something. Surely you have something more for them. Or at least give them a meaty feud with someone like, I don't know, the Creed brothers or Pretty Deadly or somebody to help them elevate some other people or get something more going rather than just being side characters now.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up because recently, for me, while watching Raw, the treatment of both Kofi and Miz has really annoyed me. I talked about it a little bit in the Build to Survivor series where I was like, it bothered me so much that Gunther was just in Miz's face, and Miz, who's a 2-time everything in WWE, didn't at least like punch him or do something. Same thing with Kofi. This dude was in the WWE Championship match at WrestleMania 5 years ago. And it was the biggest story you had. And for a minute there, because he had the belt, he gets like the superpowers of the belt where he's beating everybody and he's untouchable. And now it's like, yeah, Tozawa, that's nasty. What are we doing with Kofi and Miz? Like, there used to be a time where if you were a former WWE champion, let alone WrestleMania championship match competitor, you weren't doing this kind of stuff. So yeah, I do like your pick of the New Day, but specifically Kofi, because it's ridiculous that they don't do anything with him.
Not a bad pick whatsoever. Yeah, I like that. I like giving some flowers to the New Day in any kind of fashion.
You know what? Here's another one, because I read this statistic the other day and it blew my mind. The Street Profits haven't been champions in like 3 or 4 years. And that's crazy to me because it feels like they're perpetually in the title picture. So them and Lashley, because Lashley didn't do anything at Mania.
Yeah, he was in that he won the Andre, right? Which was like, that doesn't even really count.
SmackDown. Did the world title tournament, lost, and disappeared. So you know what? Actually, I'll save that for Downgrade, but Lashley might be one to consider because that's ridiculous.
On a slightly similar wavelength, but a little bit different as well, let's talk about the improvement in a superstar. So some people get a rise up on the totem pole, some people will get knocked down a peg or two. Biggest upgrade and biggest downgrade of the year. I have 2 in mind for biggest downgrade, and I'm not entirely sure which one I would pick, although I am leaning a little bit slightly more towards the male pick. So my female pick, at the very least, would be Ronda Rousey. She did not have a great 2023.
Yeah.
But then again,
embarrassing too.
Matt Riddle was around this year. And Matt Riddle had an even worse 2023.
Matt Riddle really couldn't get out of his own way. Whereas with Rousey, I really feel like it should be studied. We all know what we personally think of Rousey. Put that to the side for 5 seconds. How the hell did WWE take the baddest woman on the planet and make her just another woman on the roster? That should be studied. Because they were really just like, I don't know, Ronda's here. Maybe we'll do something with her. That's pretty solid. I just mentioned Lashley, and I really think that that's a good consideration because he went from I'm fighting Brock Lesnar to I'm doing nothing, and I think that that's a shame. But my pick is Jimmy Uso. I don't even feel like I need to describe this.
That's a good pick.
I hate heel Jimmy Uso. And some smart ass is going to be like, well, you're supposed to. He's a heel. No, I'm not supposed to, because make it make fucking sense. He's the one who turns on Roman, then decides, no, I don't want Jay to be champion because I don't want him to turn into Roman, and then decides, within the span of a week, by the way, just kidding, I actually want to be subservient to Roman, and I love you, Roman, and please don't hurt me. What the fuck happened to Jimmy Uso this year?
And now, like, you're supposed to be super hyped up for Jimmy versus Jay at WrestleMania months in advance. You know, I mean, they just go like, well, we're going to separate them because we're going to come back in a couple months. In the meantime, what are you going to do with Jimmy? He's going to look like a complete idiot and lose a bunch of matches.
Yeah, I'm not, like, Jimmy Uso has to be it for me. Because at the very least, if you were going to have him turn on Jay, you could have had him say, no, I'm not with Bloodline either, and then focus the story on the tribal heir, Solo Sikoa. But no, you decided, well, we can't do anything yet because we still need a lackey for LA Knight and for Cena and for Randy and for AJ and for all these people to beat up. But Jay's a super over babyface, so we're not going to do that. I just hate it. Like, I just really think they took all the fun out of it with Jimmy Uso.
Of course, you could mention names like Ronda and Matt Riddle, but I tend to ignore the people that got released because it's kind of, they're kind of all on the same wavelength, where it's like, I know some start off in a higher position, but it's a case of, hey, you went from having a job to not having a job. So that's like, that's all pretty bad. So Jimmy Uso is definitely a good option for that. Cameron Grimes.
Oh my God.
Like, he had pretty good 2022. Like, he was North American champion. He was like one of the biggest names in NXT, and then he comes up to the main roster and disappears. Comes back, looks completely different, but is still just not used at all. He's not even like, if he does go back to NXT, he still loses matches. So like, he's completely further down now. This one's going to sound a bit weird, but Omos.
No, I mean, it makes sense.
Like, he was utilized quite a lot in 2022, and obviously pushes the giant he is. But now he's just, you know, I'll come back for a random match every now and again and just lose to whatever top guy I'm facing, whether it's Lesnar or whether it's Rollins. And then that's pretty much it after that point. He pretty much disappears from that moment on. But the one I'm going to go for is AJ Styles.
Yeah.
That's another good pick.
That's a fucking great pick, dude.
Like, and maybe this is more of a steady downgrade, because it wasn't like he had the most stellar 2022 ever, but just like, again, a guy, I know there's always the thing of like, you need to cycle in new talent. You can't just keep the same guys going on forever and ever. And he's in his mid 40s now, so it's not like he's any sort of spring chicken, but he should be utilized in a main event or upper mid card picture, again, elevating guys. And I know he's been injured for a while as well, so that's hurt things, but now he's primarily just been tag teaming with like the other members of the OC, who probably also could be added into like the Overrated segment as well, because they're just, you know, they're guys on good. I don't want to put them as overrated because they're like doing the dream thing. I kind of respect the hustle with them of like just signing these big contracts and then doing absolutely nothing for the rest of their career. But yeah, AJ's just now kind of like a nothing guy on the roster a bit, and he's going to go into a feud with LA Knight, which he'll probably invariably lose. But
I hope not.
Yeah, but he just doesn't feel special. He doesn't feel like world championship level anymore, which is, you know, it's a shame. I know they can always rehab him, but, you know, just you shouldn't expect that of AJ Styles even at this point in his career.
A guy like AJ Styles should never need to have the phrase needs rehab for his career.
I think a lot of that boils down to Roman hijacking the fucking title. Because maybe if he was on Raw, he would have inevitably been one of those people for Seth to fight. He did fight Seth, you know, for the inaugural championship match. But I completely agree. That's a great pick.
What was your pick, Rob?
Jimmy Uso.
So Jimmy Uso, Matt Riddle, and AJ Styles. Definitely good list there. But let's go to the upgrade side of things. And thankfully, there are people that definitely did move higher up on the ladder this year. A couple people that I have down on my potentials. Channing Stacks Lorenzo. Dude is a random underling, becomes an underboss, becomes effectively almost a more widely seen character than Tony D'Angelo this year. Really good on him.
Well, that's the dream when you join the mob, isn't it? Like,
yeah, at some point you gotta, whether it's the mob or the Sith or, it's, you gotta overthrow your boss. Upgrade for Maxine Dupree from going from Maximum Male Models over to Alpha Academy and actually like starting to wrestle and all that. It's not going to be my pick, but it's an upgrade. Zelina Vega. She got herself a title match this year. She's been sticking around. They don't have her losing absolutely every single little thing. Wouldn't give her the pick, but somebody to mention. 3 other ones that I have, I'm not sure who I'm going to go with quite yet. I am leaning towards one person, so I don't know, maybe you guys might have these people on your list too.
I'll say I think we're getting a 3 for here.
We might end up having a 3 for, but some runner-ups, maybe my bronze medal. Trick Williams. Massive upgrade this year. And he's at a point now where he's like, I could see this guy actually being the NXT champion.
He's definitely improved a lot this year, and much to my surprise, I wasn't feeling it at first.
I think my silver medal is LA Knight. Guy almost got released.
Who's your gold medal if he's silver?
That's where was that your pick?
I was thinking
I thought the obvious one was LA Knight.
Yeah. Who's your gold medal?
Jey Uso.
Jay's second place.
Jay's great. Look, Jay's great. I can't lie to you, but he's kind of been at that level for 3 going on 4 years now. LA Knight was Max Dupree and almost got released.
If you phrase it that way, I think it makes sense to make that a 3 for them.
You look at 2022, like Jey Uso was still tag team, in the longest reigning tag team championship.
Yeah,
and he's headlining pay-per-views with Roman and all that shit.
Yeah, if you go biggest upgrade as far as starting from a lower end, then LA Knight makes more sense.
It's LA Knight. That's what I thought. Okay,
so we can make that a 3 for them.
but Jey Uso is now he's more over now than he's ever been in his career as a
I think
singles
he's gonna
guy.
Beat Gunther.
There's a good chance that he could beat Gunther for the IC title, or at least challenge for him. I think that I'd be of the mindset now of pivoting away from the Jimmy and Jay match and just have Jay versus Gunther at WrestleMania instead. And just look at the reaction to him. He's a super big deal. Like, that should be a guy fighting for a title at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I'm still crossing my fingers that we're getting Gunther and Brock Lesnar.
I want to see that as well. Yeah.
I'm right. I'm here to be in the middle and put that there because I think we get Jay beats Gunther and it's Jay Jimmy IC title, and that frees Gunther to defeat Lesnar.
Well, at that point, why not just have Gunther beat Lesnar and retain the IC title?
Because I think, much like 10 years prior where Brock beats Taker, I think it means more that you beat Brock, whereas Jay and Jimmy for the IC title gives the IC title something to do. We'll get there. We'll talk about Mania.
I mean, there's a few other options as well, but LA Knight was the standout one. Chelsea Green, again, it's one of those ones where she started the year in Impact and then came back to WWE and is now, was as of a couple of days ago, tag team champion.
Less than 24 hours ago, that changed around a little bit.
Yeah. Dominic.
Yeah, Dominic.
He became a singles champion for the first time this year as well. So, I could definitely say Trick Williams. I think I'm now probably pretty safe to say that Trick Williams, based on what I've seen this year, will exceed whatever Carmelo Hayes does in WWE.
I hope not. That's heavy.
He will, because he's more over in his position now than Carmelo Hayes ever was as a champion in NXT. Like, Trick hasn't even won the title yet, and he's still the most over guy in the company, or in the brand, should I say?
This is a weird analogy to compare to, but for some reason, this is the first thing that popped in my mind. I could see this being a Scott Hall, Kevin Nash scenario, where Scott Hall being the Carmelo Hayes, like the quote unquote better worker, and Trick being in the Diesel spot of like the guy that wins the championships more, you know?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. There's something to say about just star power and charisma, and I say, yeah, he won't be, but as long as he can work, he's one of those people that's in a similar vein to someone like, I don't know. Well, you could say with Diesel, but like there's other people in that situation that if you get over enough based on just your charisma, then you only need to work to a certain level in ring for you to be a top star.
Yeah. John
So
Cena.
yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, so he's definitely could be in that category. Whereas Carmelo, I mean, the issue with Carmelo is that he's just too small. It's a hard thing to say, really, but he is just too small to be a top guy. But yeah, there's other names as well. I mean, Io Sky is champion now. In 2022, she was, well, we thought that she was going to get released because like leading into SummerSlam, and then she comes back as like just a subordinate to Bayley's Damage Control, and now she's the head honcho of Damage Control.
One Money in the Bank to do it too. Like she hasn't lost it yet on the road to WrestleMania, which is like the closer and closer we get, the more that it's like maybe it's going to be champion heading into Mania.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good possibility of that now, especially with Charlotte Flair now injured.
Yeah.
And think about what's that going to mean now in terms of who would be the champion or what the championship match would be at WrestleMania. Yeah, so I think, but I think LA Knight is the standout choice for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, worth noting that if LA Knight wasn't having the year he's having, it would be Dominic for me. But LA Knight, because of where he was.
I'm still hoping that LA Knight wins that United States Championship at WrestleMania. That they do the Kevin Owens Logan Paul match before that, get that out of the way.
They definitely are.
Yeah, it seems like it's the case. But I gotta still hope that it's LA Knight and not that it's like I don't know, Logan Paul being set up to fight, say, who's even on the SmackDown roster? I don't know.
AJ Styles,
Austin Theory or something. I don't know.
Logan Paul, AJ Styles flipping around might be a lot of fun. That's something to think about.
I would watch it, that's for sure. But yeah. Or Bobby Lashley. Like, I don't want Bobby Lashley to be the guy that beats Logan Paul. I want it to be LA Knight. Now, ring work, self-explanatory category, best and worst. I have Nia Jax down as one of the options, but I'm not going to give it to her. I have, as far as like the worst in-ring male, is Top Dollar. But even worse than Top Dollar, it's on the female side for me. Ava Raine.
Mm-hmm.
Woof.
Yeah. I have 3 names written down. Ava, Maxine Dupree, and Quincy Elliott.
I will not be dogpiling on Ava Raine. I think Ava Raine has something. It's just not between the ropes.
Where is it?
It's in the gene pool.
It's in the
That's what she has. She has a famous father, and that's
it. Right now. But like, also, she already...
Also, what the hell is Shawn Michaels doing hiring cultists to be his personal assistant?
Yeah, hey. He's trying to make amends. About healing and NXT.
It is really weird to be like in storyline that they don't mention the idea that suddenly she goes
Shawn
from
Michaels
being part of Schism to just being like a secretary.
I wonder where that's going, but I didn't hate it. I only saw her wrestle twice. I'm not gonna say it was the worst thing when scripts exist, and I can still say scripts because I hated
like,
scripts.
He can do stuff.
Yeah, he can do flip around.
He can flip, but like, there's so many people who can flip better.
Is Ava Raine one of them?
No, she's not.
There you go. That's why she gets
just like think about their whole WWE roster. Is there anyone that can do any? Is there anything that Ava can do that's better than anybody else on the roster?
Call her father.
Well, we don't know for sure because maybe Rock is like my kid's calling, and then somebody else calls somebody. He's just kind of like, hey John, what's up? Like, no, I don't need to take that phone call. The other end.
Ava does have to be up there. Nia Jax, I am so uncomfortable with the fact that they're just making that the story. You know what I mean? They're
It's like
making
it's
the fact
dangerous
that
to
she's
step in the ring with
dangerous
her.
and hurts people. The story, I don't like that. Yeah. No, but I probably will have to. All seriousness, I probably will have to go Ava. Yeah, it just wasn't good, unfortunately. I still like Ava.
I mean, let's say, like, realistically, it probably should be over. But fuck it, I'm gonna clown on Quincy Elliott. That guy sucked.
In every way.
Yeah, awful person, awful wrestler, awful look. Just yeah, I think that we need to pay attention to the fact that he was employed with this company for a while. The fact that like they employed this guy primarily, probably just as some kind of like diversity stunt. And the fact that he was actually such a horrible human being behind the scenes as well, just it failed on all levels.
Now, best. Thankfully, we got a lot of good people in the ring. Talk a lot about people like Bianca Belair or Chad Gable, Carmelo Hayes. You know, I mean, your mileage may vary on who you think the bests are, but there's a good number of really good in-ring workers here. And I don't know for sure if I'm going to go with them, but I was leaning towards giving this to Gunther.
It is Gunther. Fuck you. He's the best champion in WWE, and he's held the Intercontinental title for 557 days. And he's having banger after banger after banger. It's Gunther. Red Callum?
It's going to be another threefer?
I'm seriously toying with the idea of giving it to Logan Paul.
It's not a bad option, yeah.
Because I think that Logan Paul is better than 95% of the people on the roster. In terms of just yeah, well, it is really annoying that he's that good because he's a bit of a sucky person. But he is just better than people. Like he's as someone who's still technically really a rookie, considering the number of matches he's had, he's just better than people. He just gets it immediately more than other people do. But realistically, the choice for me is between Gunther and Ilya Dragunov.
I knew you were
which
say
makes
that,
a lot of sense considering the fact that they've had my favourite match of the previous 2 years in terms of just them against each other is like the best matches for me in WWE. And unfortunately, we haven't get to see that yet because for some reason they still won't put Ilya Dragunov on the main roster. But
I think it's coming in 2024 for sure.
I'd hope so. But yeah, between the two of them, because I just think they elevate all matches to a higher level. I'd probably still give it to Gunther because he's doing it on a bigger stage, but I don't think it's very close between those two. I think, I don't think it's like that far apart between those two, should I say. I think that they are, for me, head and shoulders above everybody else on the main roster that isn't a part-timer like Logan Paul.
Even higher up considerably than Chad Gable?
Yeah.
Because he was a real strong contender for me.
Oh, he's great. Don't get me wrong. Like he does a lot of great stuff. And he had great matches with Gunther as well. But yeah, I think that those two have an aura about them in ring. Again, it's maybe like may not appeal then into like just their actual like promo ability because none of them are a particularly strong promo, but just the in-ring aura about them. They feel like it's because with Chad Gable, it feels like, yeah, he's an excellent wrestler. When I see these two wrestle, I feel like, oh, someone might die in this match, but it'll be cool to watch it. But not in a way of like a Nia Jax. Oh, someone might die in this match. Like, oh, I'm going to see like a well choreographed murder in this match, and that's fun.
Yeah, the Gunther and Dragunov match from NXT UK was one of the matches that when a buddy of mine started to get back into wrestling this year, I was like, one of the matches you need to go back and watch is that one.
And I'm not done talking about Gunther this year either.
No, I mean, Gunther's going to get a number of different best things on my end too. Yeah, that's for sure. And you do good stuff. You end up getting a lot of good, you know.
The mark of a really good wrestler is, I think if you put him in the ring with Prime Hogan, it works. Put him in the ring with Prime Savage, it works. Austin, Brett, Shawn, Taker, Angle, anybody in their prime, I think they can have a good match with Gunther, and there's not a lot of people you can say that for.
Yeah, I would love to see like Gunther versus Brett or Gunther versus Shawn. Like, I imagine that they would just make magic with that.
Yeah.
On the mic work, got a lot of bad options. Katana Chance and Caden Carter on my potential list. Lyra Valkyria. Lyra Valkyria can't cut a promo. And it's really awkward with her as champion, where she just has these like that. Xia Li's on my list too for this. Like in particular that Xia Li and Lyra Valkyria segment that they did, the T thing. Yeah, that was horrendous, and it was recorded in advance, so it was like that was the best take for each one of those lines, and that's what they got. I have Ronda Rousey as a potential for this. Because Ronda Rousey can't cut a promo. And she struggles so much sometimes where she's just like, I'm going to be mean mugging this, and it doesn't work. I cannot tell you why they thought it would be a good idea to make Scripps a manager in a sense, because every time that he cuts a promo for Out the Mud, my eyes roll. My eyes also...
Yeah. He's always going to be a good option for things.
My eyes also roll every time that the Viking Raiders come out and I hear Valhalla is here.
Well, none of those are good. Welcome to the generation of Jade. And I like
she doesn't have
Jade,
that anymore, right?
No, she still has it.
Oh, she still does? Ugh. Yeah. But the Valhalla one, yeah, it's like, and then she doesn't talk any other kind of fashion. But I am going to go with somebody I already mentioned before. The worst person on the mic for me this year is Joe Gacy, because he was bad as part of Schism. He was bad as a part of a guy figuring out what he's going to do outside of Schism. And now his gimmick has been this whole idea of like, maybe I know what I'm going to do and maybe I don't or whatever. These are terribly written promos, and he cannot seemingly cut a single thing that makes me think he's got energy behind him. It's just sort of a guy repeating lines that don't make any sense. This is like the worst case scenario of the Bray Wyatt stuff that I used to hate.
Yeah, I'm not going with Gacy. Like, it's inoffensive to me. I get what you're saying, but it wouldn't be Gacy for me. Here I could give serious thought to a lot of people on the NXT roster. I could cheat right now and say NXT. But no, I'm gonna hone in on one person from NXT who I like and have grown to like because he's charming. That doesn't mean I would necessarily want to hear Von Wagner say things. Although him talking about sausages in pasta is one of my favorite things.
I'm not on Come Tuesday.
It is Come Tuesday. I do apologize.
Yeah, they do it a little differently in that house.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. There's like obvious options for a lot of these ones. There's so many bad promos in WWE, and most of them, unfortunately, are women. Like, yeah, you look at the likes of Natalia's never been a good promo, and Nia Jax is a bad promo, and like Ronda Rousey's again is like major high out there. Tegan Nox isn't a good promo. Like you said, Xia Li as well. Zoe Stark's not a great promo. Trish did cut the greatest promos of her career this year, and then you get down to NXT, and then it really, really like falls off a cliff. Like fucking like Fallon Henley and Elektra Lopez and like Cora Jade, they're also robotic, but like worse, it's unfortunate because I like her as a wrestler and she seems like a nice person, but Roxanne Perez.
I'm saving that for something later.
Because so many of her promos this year were either I get like this was the anxiety year, wasn't it?
Yep.
This was the anxiety promo.
Yeah, that's going to be brought up.
Yeah, I know that we brought. But then everything after losing the title was pretty much like, this person has taken me to a place I've never been to before, and like they're pushing me to my limits, and so we got to have some sort of plunder match. But it's almost just in this very like
she's stating something but not showing it.
Yeah, well, she's stating it, but also it's just like in a very bland, like unbelievable way. It's like, we got to have the plunder match with Tiffany Stratton or Blair Davenport or Kiana James, and now presumably Izzy Dame at some point, and now it's just like they've taken me to a whole different level. It's like, how many different levels do you have that everyone just keeps taking you to another one? It's like, were you always just at level 1, and now you're just getting to 2, 3, and 4 at this point? You're just progressing. Are you evolving like a Pokemon into a
Yes, but I think that's the story they're telling.
So eventually she needs to hit level 77, and then she'll just become Roxanne Neville.
Adrian Perez. Yeah, I just think that she's so she's so weak as a promo, unfortunately, which is a shame, and it might hinder her potential going on to the main roster, because she's really good in ring, but she just, like, as I say, it might not hinder her too much because there's only a handful of women on the main roster even that can cut a really good promo, but it probably will hinder her to a degree.
It's funny that we're all like, all right, put a pin in the Roxanne anxiety thing. We're going to get to that on a future section.
Because it just...
Yeah, you're going to hear that for sure coming up later on. Best mic work, though. We had a lot of good people, again, on the mic. There's perennial standouts like, Miz is always good on the mic. Kevin Owens is always good on the mic. Sami Zayn. Roman, when he's there, cuts good promos. But to me, it's between either Cody Rhodes or LA Knight. And
funny enough, 2 names I have written down.
Yeah. Which one are you leaning more towards? Because I kind of go back and forth. That's the one I was leaning a little bit more because Cody tends to not botch, whereas LA Knight once in a while can get a little stumbly on his words.
I'll just say it then. I'm going Cody.
We got a 3-fer.
The only other name I would have had was Punk, because he is back, and I just enjoy Punk on the microphone.
Not after the promos that he's cut so far, I wouldn't.
Well, no, I thought the SmackDown one and all that was pretty good, but we're gonna get better ones as we go. But it's Cody. Cody is so genuine in everything that he does that he reminds me of John Cena when John Cena was at his peak, where it's just truth from Cody. Like the promo he got with Heyman, where he's like, "Thank you for giving me advice when I wanted to rebel. Thank you for, giving my father a job when times were hard." Like everything Cody does seems so genuine. That is something no other wrestler has right now.
Any other thoughts on Cody you want to add, Callum?
Yeah, nothing too much more. He's always been such a good orator. Like he can tell his story pretty well. He can make you believe in something even if it feels a little bit odd. Like he's had to be feuding with Judgment Day for ages and ages and ages, so he's had to try and continue to add some stakes into that beyond the point of, I'm just essentially he could just go into promo and be realistic and say, I'm doing this right now because we're just waiting until I face Roman at WrestleMania. But yeah, he actually tries to add a bit of something through his mic work, and yeah, I think he's the best person for it.
Imagine him coming out and instead of saying, "So, what do you want to talk about?" he's like, "So, how do you want to kill some time?"
He feels like one of the guys that isn't produced.
And that's something I think they dropped the ball on with him, was that he didn't just say, "Hey, I'm not going after Rollins ever. I'm just waiting to get my hands back on Roman." I thought that was one thing they dropped the ball with Cody. But he's so good on the mic.
I think that they didn't do that because they didn't want people to pay even more attention to the idea that, like, why, if he has the ability to move Jey Uso to the Raw roster, why doesn't he want to get moved over to the SmackDown roster? And, like, why is he not declaring himself for Money in the Bank and he's just fighting Dominic? And, anything along those lines of, like, this entire year has been spent with him being like, remember, everybody, I'm going for that belt for Mania, but give me a few months because they don't want me to do it yet. And it's like, we all have to have our suspension of disbelief to just be like, I get it. You only can pull the trigger at least in January, if not February or March. I still don't think he's winning the Royal Rumble, by the way, but we'll get to that. Let's wrap up the technical skills with the best and the worst matches of the year. Self-explanatory again. I only have 2 written down for worst match of the year on this one thing, but let me see about if I have that elsewhere, because I do have 2 separate lists, so I didn't merge them quite yet. Let me double check on my actual... No, I actually have a couple more. Okay, so I thought that I would. These are the 4 that I have written down for the worst match of the year.
I've got 4 written down. I want to see if they're the same.
Let's see. Shotzi versus Charlotte, SmackDown, March 10th.
Well, no, he's not watching TV.
I'm not watching fucking TV. What the fuck are you talking about?
I don't know. You might have heard about how bad that was and actually watched it. That one was really, really rough. I've got down the WrestleMania Women's Showcase Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match from night 2. Chelsea Green and Sonya versus Liv and Raquel versus Shotzi and Natty versus Ronda and Shayna. That's the one where Ronda and Shayna couldn't participate. Remember?
Oh yeah. Well, I thought. As I say, that probably was bad, but it didn't stick in the memory. That one.
I've got the Trick or Street fight between Chelsea Green and Natalya from the Monday Night Raw episode on October 30th.
It just goes over my head, really.
Yeah, that's where Michael Cole was saying one of the best lines of the year, which is, "This match keeps going and going." It's kind of like tapping into the old NXT Michael Cole. But we also had The Miz versus Shane McMahon / Snoop Dogg.
Well, none of those matches are the ones.
Really?
Huh. Yeah, no, because The Miz and the Snoop Dogg thing, that's just funny. That was fun. I had fun watching that match, even though it was complete like dumpster fire.
I'm definitely curious. What are the ones that you have?
Well, yeah, all mine are on pay-per-view, obviously. Well, yeah. PLE, because that's the only things that I watch. Bray Wyatt versus LA Knight, Royal Rumble.
Again, I think if Bray Wyatt didn't tragically pass, I think that'd be the winner. But I think
it might still be the winner. As much as it is less tragic that he passed, it's like it doesn't excuse the fact that like his last match on TV was a really, really bad one, which had a really sloppy finish and was in the dark with neon lights going on.
What was that called again? It was like the glow sticks on a pole match or something.
Mountain Dew kickstart, whatever it was.
Mountain Dew, Rave City, something.
Yeah, Pitch Black.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
The glow stick on a pole.
I don't know. It's been a long year.
The Coachella.
No, that's for later with Kaden and Katana.
I have two matches from SummerSlam, which might be pointing you in the direction of where my worst PLE of the year is going. But
Payback, right?
Ronda Rousey versus Shayna Baszler.
That wasn't great.
Yep.
That match wasn't bad. Well, it was bad, but it was awkward. Was the word that I'd use to describe it. That was just a really awkward experience watching. Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso in the main event of SummerSlam, because that was 35 minutes of fuck you to both the stipulation they put out saying, oh, no one's going to interfere in it, and then Solo Sikoa's just in there almost immediately because they always are for every Roman Reigns match, and then Jimmy turning on Jey in a completely nonsensical twist at the end of it.
So for context of these 2 matches, this is what I wrote down on Smark Out Moment for my quick thought thing. For Ronda and Shayna, I wrote, pretty boring to be honest. I'm glad at least Shayna won. And then for the Roman and Jey Uso match, I wrote, slow and boring with a predictable and disappointing finish in that Roman Reigns just cannot win anything on his own, apparently. It wasn't even shocking. I saw Jimmy doing this weeks ago. This wasn't worth weeks and weeks of the same repetitive promos and all, nor is it good enough to justify how Reigns will probably skip out on the next 2 or 3 events. Little did I know it would be more than 2 or 3 events.
Yeah. And then the other one they have listed down is, I can't even remember what the NXT show this was on, but it's Baron Corbin versus Gable Steveson.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh no, I remember that. Yeah, that's
even with a lot of people overhyping NXT over the past year or so, and I'm not saying that it hasn't improved, but I think people are going way over the top with it. Even that was even the hardcore NXT people saying, "Oh, this fucking sucks." Just that everyone hated Gable Steveson. They made Baron Corbin a babyface on that show because they just absolutely hated the guy they were pushing as the babyface. It's the match on its own, if it was just any match, would just be just a boring, nothing happening match. But just because they'd built it up for a bit and they've tried to make well, at least for a while, tried to make Gable Steveson a thing. It just shows how how badly it was all put together. I think realistically, I'm probably going to go towards Roman versus Jey Uso, just because it's the highest profile match, it's the main event of a show, and I think that was like just abominably bad as a match. And yeah, so it's like one of the ones where that's the highest stakes match out of here, and I think that it was still really bad as well and really boring. I'd rather see a short bad match than a really long boring match. In the same way that a couple of years ago I made Randy Orton versus Edge in that like WrestleMania match with
the last man standing.
They went everywhere in the backstage thing for the pandemic WrestleMania was one of the worst ones, because it's like there were worse matches in terms of botchiness and like people just not being on the same stage, but you made me sit through this for 35-40 minutes and gave me that hunk of shit. It's like, yeah.
So that new Pitch Black match wasn't great. I can completely agree with that. Shayna and Ronda, sure. I'm gonna be honest with you. One of these matches, it's gonna be a WrestleMania match, and maybe you guys will sway me one way or the other. I kind of, just for the sheer soul crushingness of it all,
I can want to
say Cody and Roman. Because that was like, you motherfuckers, it's right there. It is right there. And you're just objectively not going there.
You gotta finish the story in a different way. Adversity.
Brock and Bobby Lashley, mostly because of, sadly, Bray Wyatt randomly says, I'm going to fight the winner of this. And then Brock doesn't put over Bobby. He kicks him in the nuts.
That was really stupid. I hated that whole thing. Ugh.
But in sticking with and you now see, this is what is living in my brain. Bad finishes, bad build, bad stories. My worst match of the year is John Cena versus Austin Theory at WrestleMania, because it meant absolutely fucking nothing. Cody, at least, that was the moment of the year everybody's still talking about. I can't believe they did that. Brock and Bobby, it's inoffensive. We got most of what we wanted out of that feud last year when they fought at the Rumble. This shit, they really had John Cena come out on TV and say, hey, you're going to beat me because I work in Hollywood, and then I'm going to leave, and they're still not going to give a shit about you. And then he beat him. John went away, and they still didn't give a shit about Austin Theory. Pointless match.
I think that the promo hurts it more than the match itself. The match itself wasn't anything good. It wasn't like that. It was
super bland.
Yeah.
Oh, he low blowed John Cena. Oh, John Cena can't kick out because he works in Hollywood. It's who?
Yeah, that was one of the most offensive, like, why shoot yourself in the foot type of situations. But we got a lot of options for good on this best match of the year side of things. And I had written down a couple of these. I'm going to bounce around a little bit here, but the men's Royal Rumble match, really enjoyed that. That was, Gunther killing it, and they did the right decision with Cody winning it and all. Of course, it didn't pan out, but, I remember enjoying the women's Royal Rumble, not as much as the men's, but I do remember being happy with that. The United States Championship Elimination Chamber match, Austin Theory versus Bronson Reed versus Damian Priest versus Johnny Gargano versus Montez Ford versus Seth Rollins. That match
was really good.
Was really good. As was another match at Elimination Chamber, Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns.
Fun times.
Great match with another stupid outcome, because it happens with every single Roman Reigns match. We got Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley, WrestleMania. Hell of a match.
Talking about. Which
I had written down as, let me find it on here. I wrote this down as fantastic match with the right outcome and a clean win too. That's exactly what it needed to be. Also on night one, the Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. A match that was an awesome match with the perfect outcome and such a great way to end WrestleMania Night 1, where we're all
I'll say right now, that's my runner-up.
Yeah, that's kind of a runner-up for me. I don't know if it's going to be my full runner-up or if it's going to be this other pick, but Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest. Backlash, the San Juan Street
Definitely
Fight.
Top 5.
Hell of a fun match for all sorts of different reasons. But my number one, and I don't know if we're going to end up having a 3 for this or not, Gunther versus Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus, WrestleMania Night 2.
Callum, do we have a 3 for?
That technically is the best match of the year, but I'm gonna go with the previous one, the Usos, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. That's my match.
And those were the 2 I was judging as well. I'm gonna go with the Intercontinental Championship Triple Threat because of this. And both of these matches were great WrestleMania matches for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
It's about time the tag team titles got to main event one of the nights of Mania. But for me, the Intercontinental Championship is one of those weird belts, right? Because everybody talks about the workhorse belt and Shawn and Brett and these amazing Mania matches. But does anyone ever talk about that beyond 94?
Yeah, that era drops off for sure.
And Gunther this year, by eclipsing Honky Tonk's record and having this match that can stand up there with the ladder match, with Brett and Piper, with Savage Steamboat as a great IC title match at Mania, this was a legacy match. And it was tremendous. And I did not forget that it was presented by Mike's Hard Lemonade.
That makes it even better, right?
I think that was the best match of the year. And it was a tremendous affair. And Sheamus should have won because that would have made it even better. But at the same time, Gunther had to break Honky's record. And he's still going. Great match.
Sheamus can beat whoever Gunther loses to, and Sheamus has to win that IC title at some point. But
they really should give it to him.
I think Gunther retaining was the better call for sure. Any other ones that we're forgetting about?
I mean, the 3 that I had written down were the Usos, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Gunther versus Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre, and Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley, and they all happened at WrestleMania weekend. So
I wasn't kidding when I said it drops off after Mania, memory-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's very few that I remember beyond that point. Again, I was at that point. I was really checked out on a lot of WWE stuff, so I wasn't really watching a lot. But
the Roman Reigns Sammy match was a good Roman Reigns match, but I think the best Roman Reigns match of the year was Roman Solo against the Usos. I think that was actually pretty fun, and it had the benefit of, oh shit, they let somebody pin Roman. Cool.
Yeah, that was a good tag match. Potentially talk about maybe the men's War Games match being pretty good, but again, that maybe stretching it a little bit much.
Yeah, none of the Cody Brock matches did fucking anything for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first one was pretty good. That was probably my favorite out of the 3 of them, but yeah, I can understand that it doesn't leave a lot in memory. I mean, maybe Carmelo Hayes and Ilya Dragunov had a good series of matches this year. Again, nothing that needs to be super special, but they're probably the best NXT matches were some of those ones.
I'm looking at a list.
I mean, some people talk about the men's Iron Survivor Challenge match as one of the best matches.
That was fucking great. That was a really fun match. I think it
probably had the best 75-second stretch of any match in this year.
And if this was just NXT, that'd probably be my match of the year.
Yeah, it's difficult to remember any other ones.
If anybody does remember, drop your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure that you keep the ball rolling along here and you click on the next part with the writing awards side of it. We'll be getting into that in a little bit. Of course, if you're listening to the audio only portion, then that's just going to be coming right up. But, on YouTube, you actually have to click on it. And, we've got that. We got the performer awards, lots more best and worst coming your way. But in the meantime, if you haven't already hit the like button, make sure you do. And double check that you are subscribed and all that good stuff. make sure that you are following all of the stuff over on smarkoutmoment.com and the stuff on fanboysanonymous.com as well. Blue Brand over there should be getting some love. Subscribe to that YouTube channel and such. Go on the link tree, amangotree.com. You'll find links to both those things and more. And follow me at Tony Mango and follow Rob and Callum.
Yep, follow me everywhere at DeFelice. Check out my writing on Fightful. And we will see you guys in the next one. Callum?
You can find me on Twitter at Wigmeister14. Check out the power rankings over on smarkoutmoment.com every Saturday where I'm ranking the WWE superstars. And you can also find the Fantasy League there at also WWEFantasyLeague.com to see how our teams are performing and who's picking up points as we head towards the next stop, which is the Royal Rumble.
Alrighty, everybody, that is part one of the 2023 End of the Year Awards for the WWE side of things. But the Smart Keys will continue, as I said, so make sure that you tune in to part two. And we will see you then. But for now, this has been another Smark Out moment, and we are being counted out.